Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking you to this very special place here in Butte, Montana. Now for those of you who are unfamiliar with Butte, the vast majority of its history contains something to do with mining. They were known as the Copper Kings. They pulled more out of these mountains than any other place in regards to that. And because of that, Butte was at one point in time said to be one of the cities that never slept. Constantly, people were going in and out of businesses, in and out of mines. The streets were bustling. There were so many people here. And even to this day, Butte is one of the larger communities in Montana. It's still an active mining community also, believe it or not. So here, while we're visiting, I thought what better time than the present to come to an incredible memorial to the industry that Butte was literally built on. So today we're going to be exploring this plaza and checking out some of the views of the active mine site behind and talking about why this place is so important. From the parking lot, you can see a variety of different mining pieces, including pieces of the old copper mines. But just down below the mountain, you can see the active mine site right here. Now with that context, you can see just how large this industry is even to now, even to the present day. And along the way, you can look up on this particular memorial, which was a special memorial dedicated to some people who lost their lives here in this area. They placed it high atop this mountain so that you could see into the very mines which built this community. And along the way, there's a series of different items here that are pretty fascinating, including core samples, which line the entirety of the memorial. But we'll get there in just a minute. Let's learn a little bit more about the memorial itself first. This memorial is dedicated to the 168 men who lost their lives in hard rock mining's greatest disaster. In Butte, Montana, from 1870 to 1983, 2,500 men lost their lives from mining-related causes. We are standing here on hallowed ground. Along the path, pavers and bricks allow us to see a glimpse into Montana history. Now the walls of the memorial are lined with these really intricate designed panels that you see here. There are several of them on each side, but they also look out into the pit itself. On the back wall are all the flags representing all of the different countries that miners have come from to work here in Montana. Remember, mining was primarily a thing that was done by immigrants. Immigrants, time and time again, have been the backbone of our country and have allowed our country to grow and thrive through industry. And through that industry, many of those people were able to find the American dream that brought so many immigrants here and allowed them to have their little piece of this country. Whenever we look at history throughout time, strategically, they have needed people to work. And usually those people were given opportunities from other lands to come here and to do those harder labor jobs.
The Granite Mountain Speculator Mine Fire. In early 1917, Butte was a unionized industrial city with a population of almost 100,000 people. Home to one of the largest mining operations in the world, the abundance of employment opportunities drew workers from every corner of the globe. No smoking signs posted in the mines were printed in 16 different languages. More than 30 languages were spoken among the city streets.
So this place is pretty spectacular. The wind's blowing kind of crazy right now, but I learned a lot. There was a crisis that happened here whenever they were in the boom of Butte. Butte was 24/7. They were non-stop. And because of that, it was often said that the boarding houses' beds wouldn't go cold because people would kind of sleep in rotation at them even. That kind of sets the tone for just how busy and booming that Butte was. But along the way, some really terrible things started to happen. They were interested in cranking out the money and making it. And in doing so, a lot of the safety standards started to slip. And despite the fact that at one point in time, Butte was heavily unionized, sometimes even with that, the people did not end up in the best kind of way. And as a result, this horrific incident happened. Now, along the way, you'll see various countries represented along the walls. That's because Butte was mostly made up of immigrants. In fact, different immigrants would live in different sections of town, and at one point they said that over 30 languages were spoke right here in Butte. Now keep in mind, the mining industry primarily was run by immigrants. Immigrants are the backbone of our country. They've built so much of it, and at one point in time there was an incentive for immigrants to come to the United States to make their homes here in order to provide labor. And a lot of those people either ended up working in mines or on the railroads. And along the way, some interesting stories have happened. Now, here in Butte, it was a melting pot of different kinds of people. Sometimes that went well, sometimes that went poorly. But all of them worked continuously round the clock to get these mines going and flowing. And even to this day, again, the mining industry is huge here. Now, as we walk around the memorial, we'll see core samples around the entirety. These are the samples that they pull out of the ground to test the ground to see what kind of minerals and things that they have in there. They're looking for very specific things because that points them in the direction of all of the things that they are looking for. Certain things can be found in these core samples that allow them to know if there's quartz present, or if there's copper present, or if there's certain kinds of minerals. And then from there, they can continuously dig down in that area and know that they're going to find something. Core samples have been used throughout the time and history of mining, and once they started using them, they found it to be a much more efficient way than just poking holes and hoping for the best. Along with this, though, there are some really beautiful etchings that tell the story of, unfortunately, the passing of all of those miners. And when you're here, take your time. Listen to all of the audio. The audio is available and tells you the story of what happened, how the shortcuts were taken, and ultimately each individual's name is listed from the incident that happened. But also, you can find some letters from those people. There were correspondences that were made to let the loved ones on the outside know that they didn't think they were going to make it. And that's pretty heartbreaking. I also found it to be one of those things that kind of documented what was going on from the perspective of those who were trapped and those who did not ultimately see the light of day once again. It just goes to show us that no days are promised, and from that we have to learn from the past to make a better tomorrow. And that's why many of the laws that we have, as well as the regulations that we have today, exist, typically because at that time no one was protected, and as a result entire communities were wiped out. I've seen this time and time again when going to mining communities, and here in Butte they were not without their own issues, as we could see from this memorial. And it's really sad. But additionally, they have some other things here that are quite fascinating. They have a story about the women's impact in the community and how a lot of women would have regular labor jobs. And a lot of women in these communities would organize and do community outreach through these organizations where they would provide all sorts of different things, including churches and education and libraries and Rotary clubs and music and different things. And so all of that is covered here. This is a wonderful stop. It is absolutely free. You get not only the context of the community itself, but you can actually see where the activity still is existing even now. And because of that, you can see Butte's past, its present, and its future. And I think that's pretty incredible. Remember, guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. Make sure that you take a chance to just stop and see things like this. Again, they're absolutely free, and they're a way for you to connect with something that may be in the past that you might not have known about. Regulations were created as a result of these places. We learn from our mistakes and we make better so others don't have to have the same outcomes. And by coming here, we honor those people. And we get to glance off and kind of envision a life well before most of us would have ever existed. And a life that most of us will never relate to. But here in Butte, it's a way of life. Till next time, guys. Bye.